Hello, friends. I gave you a couple extra minutes. You might have thought that I just stayed asleep after I had my dentistry, my appointment. I have we won't talk about it, but it's not fun. But anyway, we are live, and will you share that you're on? Because I love all the people that we're seeing that are on, but what I love more are the people who are saying, like at the dentist, I had someone say, so hello, if you're watching, she said, I've been loving your Proverbs videos, and she doesn't currently come to Life Church, so I thought that was super cool. So I love that as you're sharing this, your circle of people are sharing, you are seeing it because you have a different circle of people than I have. Man, it works good to get on a little after 8:30. Everybody's popping on really quick. So good morning, good morning. Sorry to make you wait. I looked at my clock. I'm like, oh, I thought I was right on time, and I'm like 2 minutes late getting on. So Proverbs 10, we are in the meat of it. How crazy, since it feels like it's already been meaty, right? Whatever that means. I mean, you will hear Christians that will say, well, I need meat, and I love that there's such meat and depth. And that comes from, there's a verse in the Bible that talks about those who are new to Jesus, are new to God, are in his ways, they start on milk. Like a baby has to kind of get started on it, and then as they grow, they get more meat. And so that's where that term comes from. So when I say this is meaty, I mean this is just one piece of meat after another, just one pair of lines after another. Remember, we said Proverbs means a couple of wise sayings, and literally they're couples of lines that could make great memes. They could make great tweets. Again, and I love this, ancient tweets would be a great way to think about Proverbs 10. So Proverbs 10 has so much that I thought, you know what? I'm going to focus on 3 things, although it says more than 3 things, but it repeats these core principles over and over again. So I'm going to focus on 3 things that I would look for in an employee, in myself, in a friend, and in how I raise my kids and how they turn out. And so 3 things, let's just say it this way. 3 things I hope to see in my kids. Because don't we all want to model the right thing to our kids? But really our kids aren't going to turn out a certain way until we do it this way. And so this is 3 things I hope to see in my kids. And by hoping to see this in my kids, this is whether you have kids or not, it requires that you do it first. This would also be 3 things I would love to see in any employee we hire, in anyone that we would consider. 3 things. The first one, diligence. Diligence, it's a word I've talked about in the other Proverbs. It's a word that I said has kind of lost its usage, but diligence would also look like work ethic or grit. Diligence. So the verse that I saw, diligence, is Proverbs 10, verse 5. It says, he who gathers crops in the summer is a prudent son. Love the word prudent as well. But he who sleeps during harvest is a disgraceful son. So let's just look at how I get this diligent, grit, work ethic out of here. He who gathers crops in the summer, meaning who puts in the work when it's hot, because over in this era of when this was written, this would have been in the Israel area. It would have been in that type of country where it is hot. Like people stay away from Israel and Florida if they can in the middle of the summer. If they can't stay away, they have to go, and then they try to be under the little cool sprinkle thing that you get to go under now at Disneyland or Disney World to cool you down, which I don't think they had. But it's saying put in the work, pay your dues, because it also calls the person a son, meaning they're young. So put in the work when you're young, pay your dues, gather your crops, and just get it done. Be diligent when you're young, rather than thinking, I'm going to hold out for something I think is better. Man, I hope that I modeled that and I modeled it as I was young, and that my kids do the same thing. They both have jobs. They're 14 and 15. And actually the day my daughter turned 14, she was having her application put in to work, that we would have a work ethic from a young age. Then the last part of that verse, 5 says, but he who sleeps during harvest is a disgraceful son. Sleeping during harvest that's the time where there's actually production. There's actually, you can see it pay off. But to say, yeah, I don't really want to. That's what that's saying. Is when you're sleeping, you're going, I'm going to sleep through that. No, I'm going to sleep through my alarm. No, I don't want to. That's diligence. I'm looking for that in an employee. I'm looking for that in myself, and I hope that I model that to my children. So Proverbs 10, first thing we're getting is diligence. Second principle we're getting from Proverbs 10 is to close your mouth, to listen first. There it is, to close your mouth and listen first. I definitely want this in my children, right? But in an employee, it's a value that you may not think of that until they're hired and working on your team or working for you. And then you go, oh my gosh, they're know-it-alls. Okay, so Proverbs, let's find where in Proverbs it's 10:12. Hatred stirs up conflict, but love covers all wrongs. Hatred stirs up conflict, but love covers all wrongs. Now, where am I getting close your mouth? Because love covers all wrongs, meaning love is a employee or a boss or a person in your home that sees, ooh, that is a wrong or that is a mistake, but keeps their mouth closed. Love says, I'm not going to point out that. But hatred stirs up conflict. Hatred goes, did you hear? Did you see? Hatred, and I tell my kids this, if your sibling did something wrong and you guys already dealt with it, or I'm going to find out anyway, keep your mouth closed, I'll deal with it. I say it a lot, keep your mouth closed, I'll deal with it. So a meme could look like just that simple. Hatred stirs up conflict, but love covers over all wrongs. More in a meme has a picture with it usually. Let's just say a quote of the day could be that on everyone's Instagram, and they would learn a lot from it. Girls could for sure learn from this. Girls from young to old to go, you know what, love, and maybe not even love for that person, because we might see something happen to someone and we go, well, looks good on them. We don't really like that person. Let's be honest. But love that comes from God goes, I love God enough to not out and to not shame his creation, his person that I may not like, but he loves. So closing your mouth and also listening first. I have another verse that talks about this. It's in verse 18 and 19. Whoever conceals hatred with lying lips and spreads slander is a fool. This is someone who spreads rumors. And when it says conceals hatred with lying lips, that sounds kind of good, right? Like they're concealing it. Well, what they're saying is, oh, I'll store this up and I will use this. And I can even twist it a little, because with lying lips, they spread slander. And so this is just planting seeds, being very subtle, and so that you don't gain enemies when you tell something about someone else, or maybe even make up something about someone else to make yourself look better or to take the attention off yourself. This happens a lot in junior high and high school as well. So this would be a close your mouth, don't take part in it. And then verse 19, sin is not ended by multiplying words, but the prudent hold their tongues. Here it is. Sin is not ended by multiplying words, but the prudent hold their tongues. People talk more and they talk fast. Pastor talked about this on Easter, that when we're in the wrong, we tend to have all kinds of stories, alibis. The story gets bigger. When we're caught in something, we tend to get very wordy to explain. But the prudent hold their tongues often. Prudent people hold their tongues when they just need to listen first, maybe listen to where the person that's talking to them is at in life, so that they can know, okay, Jesus, do you have me coming into their life on purpose, for a purpose to say something? But I really need to see where they're at in their heart first. We talk about this a lot in Growth Track at Life Church, that when it comes to sharing Jesus with people at Life Church, we hope that people do not think we're going to go picket with a sign saying turn or burn, where are you going to spend eternity? We hope people know that we're not about yelling at people and being Bible thumpers and starting with the word, shouting it out of our mouths, but that we are people that listen first. And we see what God's up to. Leonard Sweet said years ago, if we would just come on the scene and see where God already is in someone's life, because he's already working on everyone. So he's already working on your son or daughter who you feel like they're adults and they just don't want to have anything to do with God. He's already working on them. He's already working on that person at work that you go, they'll never come to Jesus. No, he's working on them. When we come on the scene, we should just say, okay, God, where am I to step in at this point in their story, if at all? That's a lot different than coming in, shouting with the Bible and yelling at people, because when we listen first, we see where they're at, then we can step in and help them where they're at. And we can't share our story or what we've gone through without sharing Jesus, because he's done so much for us. So number 2, close your mouth and listen first. And number 3, what I'm looking for in someone who works for me, in myself, and for my children, a quality I hope that they grow up with. And it's the most important: a teachable spirit. A teachable spirit. Verse 8 says, the wise in heart accept commands, but a chattering fool comes to ruin. That would kind of go with close your mouth, the second principle. But a wise in heart accepts commands. Pastor Bentane, who is a great, you can put him right up there with Billy Graham in a life well lived, in a heart for the lost, in a man who was a pastor and did so much, even financially supported the Calcutta Rescue Mission and Mother Teresa. Just really a hero. We would say a hero in the faith. He sat us down. This hero of the faith wanted to go to Sherry's. It's kind of like Shoney's, and it's kind of like Perkins, but I wouldn't even say as nice as Perkins. He sat us down for our interview to be his youth pastor. This was too many years ago. It makes me sound older than 32. But he sat us down. He ate his eggs and his pancakes, and we sat there barely able to eat because this was only going to be our second youth pastor position. We were nervous. It was a big church, and we thought he would ask us on the interview, okay, in your first youth ministry, how many kids did you have? What all did you do? How many kids got saved? How much money did you raise for missions? We thought we would just kind of read our resume to Pastor Bentane. We sat there. He ate. We barely ate. He didn't say a lot. Talked a little about Sean and I personally. And then we thought, okay, now he's done eating. He's going to ask about our resume and what all we've done great. He got done. He slid his plate aside and he said, well, there's just one thing I need to know. Are you teachable? And we went, we don't even know what that means. I'm 20, Sean's 25. What's happening? Yes, sir, because we were going to say yes to anything he wanted, right? We're on an interview. And he said, that's all I need to know. As long as you're teachable, you can do anything in ministry. Well, that didn't really come true in our head or our understanding for years later. And now as the boss, now as the people hiring, now I get it. When you're teachable, it means you're moldable. It's what I talked about a few days ago, that when you have a soft heart towards God, really you have a soft heart towards other things like correction, like discipline, like instruction. But if you are not teachable, you are smarter than everyone, or you know better, and that gets in the way of you and God, and it gets in the way of you and being good in a company, or being a good teenager that's going to go to college somewhere and also get a job somewhere. So not only is verse 8 a great one, but verse 17 says, whoever heeds discipline shows the way to life, but whoever ignores correction leads others astray. When Pastor Bentane said that, he needed us to be teachable, because they could teach us and we'd learn what we needed to know. We didn't know everything we should know by that age. But what I didn't realize is that teachability is modeled and other people see it and other people catch it. And we were leading teenagers. And if we were teachable and we were modeling that, then teenagers could be watching us and going, oh, they're teachable. They're not know-it-alls. I'll be like that. And it left us soft to the things of God, soft to the things of correction, discipline, and understanding. And we got to model that for our teenagers. Teachable parents model teachability to their kids. So let's just bring it back even a step further, because teachability, I'm telling you, that is something we'll talk about when we're elevating people in leadership at the Exchange or at Life Church, or when we're considering hiring someone. A question is, they seem very teachable. The question is never, are they super talented? Like, are they like gonna like change the world? I mean, that'd be awesome. We're not looking for people who, as I said in the very first one, don't have diligence and work ethic, but we say, are they teachable? And but let's look at what it looks like in your own home. Teachable parents model teachability to their kids, and how this fleshes out is at the table. When you're sitting there and you're blasting everything about the company that is wrong and you don't agree with, but maybe you have that conversation in front of your kids for 10 years. You don't do anything about it. You don't change jobs. Maybe you don't work harder, or maybe you are changing jobs and you have worked harder and you go, no, I've done it all. But has your spirit been one that you can take correction, you can take instruction, and you don't go into it seeming like you're not teachable? Because then it turns into our kids sitting there going, yeah, and let me tell you about my teacher. They're a real, and suddenly the conversation is, we're smarter than everyone. So we model it by how we speak around our kids, and honestly, how we speak around those at work that are within our team. We model if we're teachable, and teachability is when you heed discipline. It is when you allow correction to lead you. And you know what? We can learn from anything. Since we're on the subject of meat, I often tell our staff that, or my kids, I say, okay, that was said to you or about you. Let's eat the meat and let's spit out the bones. Because maybe what that says is something that's painful and hurtful. And we know some of that is not true. We know that that's not true about us, or that's not true about the situation. We know that. But what is true? What can we say? Okay, eat the meat and spit out the bones. What part of what was said could we learn from? Because we learn more often from the bad than the good. So if I can learn from a very tense situation, then I'm being teachable. If I can't learn from anything that I didn't enjoy going through, if I can't learn from anything that didn't go my way, I'm going to have lots of jobs. My kids are going to have lots of jobs. They're going to go to lots of college or no college, or they're going to be ciphering through jobs. Because if I can't see what to learn, even from the hardest of times, I'm not teachable. And here's the thing, life as a whole is not going to be a piece of cake. And if I can't learn from the hard times of life, I learned from the time we lost our daughter and she died. I learned. And that's one of those things you go, there is nothing good about a baby dying. Agreed. But there are things that, not about her dying, but the situation surrounding it, and the fact we live on a fallen earth, a fallen planet, and it is not heaven yet, means I can learn that life won't always go my way. But if I can learn in those hard situations how to press in and love God, if I can be teachable of ways I could handle things better before, during, and after, then I'm teachable. It's the most important. So I hope that you got some stuff out of that. Hope you did, because I might look at my Proverbs. It's just, I posted a picture last night. I was so excited. I was going through it. Nobody would be able to make any sense out of this except for me. I probably will kind of clean it up a bit, because I had said I want to give this book to one of my children, and then I want to go through Proverbs 3 times again and mark in the margins and learn in there, and then give the other one to my other child, since we have 2 kids. So I'm going to have 2 Proverbs book, give it to them. I do want it to make a little more sense for them, but these are the notes that I'm taking out to the side. Would you today share this, comment your favorite, because listen, there are 20, how many? There are 31. Well, that's super cool. Come on, God. 31 proverb chapters. We get into the meat of it because 10 through 29 is the meat of it, and he gives us 31 on day 1 of the meat. 31 verses. Which of the 31 is tweetable? Which of the 31 could you post and you know it could mean something to someone? So will you take the time, type those in? We should have everybody today, whether you're on live or watching later, type in the 2 phrases that go together. They're proverbs. They're short sayings of wisdom. Type in your favorite, post that, and share this so that others can do the same. It really is making a difference in people's lives like I didn't even imagine. And then we'll see you for day 11. Don't log off yet. Let's pray. God, thank you for my friends that they're going to look through these 31 verses and they're going to find their favorite. And God, we're going to mutter it. We're going to chew on it. God, it is going to be that meat that we just chew on all day long. God, I pray that it become a verse that we remember as easily and quickly as we remember John 3:16. God, that this would be a new step in our life to remember a verse that maybe is a correcting verse. It's a verse about diligence. It's not as fluffy and fun as some other verses we like, God, but it can become one of our many life verses. So God, I pray that everyone gets so much from this today, also shares this, and also begins to put all of these things in practice so people see a difference, that my kids would see a difference on my teachability, on my humility, God, on my diligence, that it would all be fleshed out in me first so others could see it. We love you, Jesus. In your name, amen. I love you guys. We'll see you day 11. If you missed any of them, you can always go back to day 1, 2, 3. They're all up. They're all on my or Life Church Facebook if you want to catch any of them. Some of them are only 13 minutes. Some are 25 minutes. But if you want to catch them, you can go back and see where Proverbs 1 through 9 took us. And now it's exciting to be in Proverbs 10. Love you. See you tomorrow.